So, welcome to the Mr. Insurance Podcast. And today I have the one, the only Mr. Joey Yak. He is the CEO of Get Attention STL, a good buddy of mine. And welcome. I guess let's break into it, what we were actually starting to talk about, and I cut you off over here. So, Yak is actually not your last name, okay? And so I just learned this too. I'm like, who is this Piper guy or whatever, right? So, but tell us how the Yak became a thing.
Yak, so when I was touring with Bone Thugs and Harmony, out there in Hollywood, tour buses, doing the damn thing, my name was Yakboyfresh, and Yak stands for You Already Know. So I'm always like, what up, y'all? I'm Joey Yak. Yak stands for You Already Know, and if you don't know, by the end of this video, you probably never will. It's been a thing my whole life. I'm always like, Yak, 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 Yak. So when I stopped doing music, like it was one of the hardest things to rebrand into somebody new. Like everyone knew me as Yakboyfresh. I knew transitioning into, I was done doing music and more on the sales and entrepreneur thing. I just said, fuck it. I'm Joey Yak. And still, Yak is, you already know it. Everybody thinks it's my last name. Tim Grover hit me the other day and he was like, who the fuck is Joey Pieper? I was like, it's me. He's like, I wouldn't have hired you if I would have heard that name. I said, my dad almost named me Peter. Imagine that. Peter Pieper. That'd have been awful. That'd have been fucking awful.
I got to be honest with you. I think I might be with Tim Grover on this whole thing. Yeah, as far as that goes. But you actually, so I want to talk to you about how you actually came into my life on here. So, I was looking for somebody to be able to put together some video and do some marketing and doing some things. And I went out, and I did a Facebook consult, as I like to say, right? So went out there and it was like overwhelming. It was like, Yak. You need to get with Joey. You need to get with Yak. You need to do this. I'm like, who is this guy? And then one of my managers that he said, he was like, you got to check this guy out. He was like, and he had you guys like riding in the back of a truck. And it was like the doors were open in the back of the truck, and there was some kind of thing that you were following and shooting video out of the back of the truck.
Me and Matt, yeah.
So, and I'm like, this guy is like, I'm feeling this guy. Like, this is my kind of like dangerous type of stuff.
We got
like
so
that.
much shit for that.
And, and then I had already committed myself at that time to working together with another media crew. But I found out, as I have with a lot of the different people, that there was a lot of over-promising and under-delivering. And that's been a completely opposite experience with you and your crew. And what I love more than anything with you and your crew is that you guys are family, literally. Like, and it's just awesome to see that and to see that closeness and that dynamic. It's something that I feel very, very drawn to. Coming from a background of where my family, at some point in time, there was a major divide in my family. And I would say after my grandmother died, she was kind of the glue that held it all together. And after that point in time, it was never really the same. So I always vowed with my kids and with my wife that I was going to make sure that we all stayed very, very close. No matter what it was, they might hate me, whatever, but at the end of the day, we all truly love each other. Yeah. And that's something that I see with you and your family, and something that is much bigger than just running a media company or running a marketing business or anything like that. This is very much not about money for you. And I can see that. And it bleeds out. And I became very attracted to that because a lot of the people that I've worked with in the past, it's all about the money. And that's all it's about. And as soon as you decide that you're not going to contribute into their fund anymore, that doesn't work for you, well, then you really truly find out who that person is behind the curtain. And I found that out in many different circumstances. So I created Mr. Insurance and this character, and I did it a lot because I wanted to be able to have trusted people. I wanted to be able to have it to where I could guide agents around the potholes in the road. I could be able to put them in touch with the people that I messed with, the guys that I already knew did a good job for me, that I call it tried, true, and tested, right? And I found that with you guys, again, it was just this totally different experience that I have ever been through. And I mean, the content and how you guys helped to be able to coach me into talking about different things. We were just talking here just a minute ago. I guess I'm getting ready to be dressed up like Santa, and you are going to be the elf, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
dude, it's bigger than
anyway,
business with us.
Yeah.
Like, I have been doing this for a very long time. I work with some of the greats, and I'm very honored to be able to do that. One thing that me and the team, because I come from the background as well, family-wise, like real fucked up family.
Yeah.
And me and my wife are a great bond now. We're raising our kids good, and our my team is my family, like blood or not. And there are a couple people that are truly blood family with me inside of this company. And it's bigger than business. That's our motto. Yeah. I tell everyone that, I get the attention with my content, but I do life with people due to my character. And I'm trying to keep that intact. And I'm trying to say that good people will always be more important than a good product. You got to have a good product.
Yeah.
But when you have a good product and you're good people, fuck, man.
I mean, you're unstoppable,
winning.
Right?
Yeah. And not taking advantage of people with the money, right? Like you said, I started you smaller, and then we worked our way up to something bigger. And I believe that also it's more important for me to get an ROE than an ROI, which is return on my energy, rather than a return on investment. Like, I need to know I've made enough money that it's not about the money. I love money. Shit, I'm about to get it all. Like, I want it, right? But I understand that when I go in with that mentality, you make more income when you try to truly make an impact. And like everyone that we're working with on Get Attention, you, all our other clients that, we're about 9 or 10 deep, and we kind of put a pause on taking new clients because I'm saying, look, I'm very good at getting attention. I'm very good at, closing the customers. But what I want to get better at is retaining. And how you retain is giving a fuck. Loving on them and making sure that you go over and beyond. Like, we're about to go out of town with you and your family. Yeah. You would have tried to get that to me like 8 months ago. I'd have been like, no, fuck that. Like, we got to fulfill, we got to do this. But it's truly bigger than business. Yeah. And when you create that bond, even if you did walk away one day where you're like, hey, I'm going to go take a different route. Maybe I don't want to build my personal brand, blah, blah, blah. It's still all love over here.
Right. Everything you're saying, it's total truth. One of the things that I've also seen as well is that, you mentioned that you guys are a team in your family. Your wife is definitely your teammate. And that has been a huge thing for me as well. Having a good spouse that uplifts you and motivates you and picks you up when you're down, and whoever's the breadwinner in the household. I'm not just relating this to a guy being a breadwinner or women being a breadwinner, but guys specifically, right? There is so much that we deal with on a daily basis, and we have so much pressure on us, and we put that pressure most of the time like we're a glutton for punishment, So there's many different times where I've just been like so overly exhausted, ready to give up, and my wife's just like smacks me on the back of the head and just says, get back out there. You're going to freaking do it. You get back up, keep making it happen. And I do. And that motivation that she provides and the things that she does inside, like your wife, she's going to be staying back here making sure that the family's taken care of while you're away. You couldn't do that if she wasn't able to be there to be supportive. And, you're away from each other at that point in time. So these are sacrifices now that we have to make in business and in life. The family understands that, like, hey, we got to go out, we got to hunt, we got to be able to bring the food back in, essentially, right? And it's something that I've just really noticed with you guys, that relationship that like I said, I have a very similar relationship with my wife, Angie, and I could not do what I do without her.
Same, man.
I'm telling you, man, like I was a complete mess. We get into it like, years ago, I was definitely a much, much different guy. And, when we talked about changing, I have this saying, the leopard never changes its spots. Okay. But maybe that same leopard changes something about their dynamic. So I am the same guy in a lot of ways, but I'm very different over my experience that have happened. When I met Angie, I was at a very pivotal point in my life to where I was not doing I wasn't doing good business. Like, I was not doing good business. I was not the guy that I am today. I cared about the flash and the cash. And that's what I thought ruled the world, is how much money you could make defined your power. And I was sorely misinformed. And Angie has softened me in a lot of ways, in a lot of very good ways, and brought me closer to my feelings and, being a good, genuine person, being a good dad, being a good husband. And again, I wouldn't have had that without her. I maybe would have been the same guy that I am today. I've struggled for years with alcohol and drug addictions, and she is helped me in a lot of different ways, been that positive light for me, been the person that I would go to if I felt like I was getting ready to slip up, if there was problems where I was starting to feel the pressure or whatever. I'm a human being. I feel emotions just like everybody else, and I have problems just like everybody else. I am not immortal. I am not untouchable. And that's a misinterpretation, because we see all the highlight reel of everybody out on social media. And, it's like that, the filters, out on Snapchat or whatever
Right.
and stuff, you see a bunch of these people. It's like, it's not a reality. I go home at night and, I go to a family and I participate in my family, and I leave other things behind. I try to leave work behind as much as I can, but it follows me.
It's so hard to leave work. I mean, we're builders, right?
Yeah.
I see the other day Courtney was leaving, my wife, and she's about to step into, she's done a lot of the books and a lot of the financials, which I do like keeping that in-house, but I know that she has so much more in her. She's a boss-ass bitch. And I'm like, you need to be more of an operator. With me being such a visionary, I know I need to learn the operation side of things to make sure I can train someone to take that over. That's kind of like where I'm at with Get Attention and everything. But she was leaving at like 1:30. She's like, fuck, I got to go with the kids. And I'm like, I had that look on my face because we were sitting there vibing, and like, I never get a 9 to 4 o'clock with her because she has to go be mom. And like, I didn't say anything, but she was like, what? And I was like, no, I'm not even going to say it because I regret already even thinking it. And she's like, when you say that you're about to say something and you don't, she's giving me that look like, motherfucker, you better tell me.
Right.
So I was like, I want you to be a position, and I truly don't know if you should because you don't have the time. And she looked at me and said, well, where we're at in our life right now, I was like, not even just the time, but like, we want one more kid. And it's like, we're at that phase. We have a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And like, in my mind, instantly, like, it jumped to straight up me being like, fuck, if we have another kid, like, instantly in this second, damn, if we have another kid, that means, say we have it in 2 years, truthfully, 12 years from now is when really the kids will be old enough to stay at home. Like, I went through this whole life mindset, and she's like, I'm a mom, a wife, and then a business owner. And I looked at her and I was like, that's why I fuck with you.
Yeah.
Because she, if me, I would hustle till the motherfucking wheels came off. Not with the intention of trying to be, not a bad husband or a not present father, but like, she makes me realize that's my order that I need to be as well. And that's why we're doing our podcast, her and I are doing together, is like, it's like therapy, man. Like, I recommend, if you're doing content and you're an entrepreneur, you should always try to get your wife at least on one of them and just see the connection and the energy that you can rub off.
Angie will not come on.
Courtney is very behind the scenes.
I had said and so Angie is
we're filming her in Florida.
my better half, right? Good, right? We'll trap her in.
Yeah.
So yeah, she does not want to come on the podcast. So Angie's a very private person, and me putting things out there that we have or the life that we've built or anything like that, a lot of people don't understand that doesn't always land in a positive place for some people, right? Jealousy is a very real thing. I was just talking the other night at a banquet that I was at with somebody that was involved in they were not involved. That's the wrong wording on here, right? But there was a murder that was over in Edwardsville, Illinois, by a very prominent attorney, Randy Gorey. And I was talking to one of the girls that had walked in that was the girlfriend at the time, right? And she she's traumatized by this whole thing and stuff. But this guy, he was out there like helping everybody else. He was a great guy. Like he was a super Ferrari collector. Like it was literally the my visionary garage of, because I love Ferraris, right? Yeah. So he literally had like every kind of Ferrari, like the rarest, the best, everything, right? A whole garage dedicated to it. But he made it very well known that he had those things. Well, somebody came and somehow got up to his door and everything else and came up and tried to rob him, and he didn't have the kind of money that he was looking for. And the guy ended up killing him.
Damn.
Right in front of his kids, his girlfriend. The girl got away, due to the dogs. I guess she had like some, what is it? Those freaking police dogs. But anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Rottweiler?
Yeah. So it's not that the,
German Shepherd?
German Shepherd. That's what I was looking for, right? So, but the thing is that a lot of people don't understand. So we put stuff out there, and that's always not going to generate a positive response. So we had 2 cars that were stolen, and the person happened to do it while me and her were out of town in Mexico. And they knew exactly like when these things were, and it was probably from posting out on social media and stuff. And I'm like, I try to be a little bit more cautious about that, especially if I'm traveling somewhere or if I'm going to be somewhere. What I'll do is I'll like kind of throw the highlight reel out there afterwards, yes. But I won't be like in the moment, if that makes any sense.
Smart.
I'll do a post share on that, but a lot of people don't see that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. When you have nice stuff, you get a army of haters. You get people that become jealous, that become envious, and they feel as though that they're entitled to it. And it becomes almost in many cases, a dangerous situation. I see, we went to a Cars and Coffee, and Andy Frisella, right? Everybody knows that guy here, especially in St. Louis, right? Big, big social media guy, big influence in the personal development space and the coaching space and the entrepreneurship space. And he rolled up in a Bugatti Veyron or what, I don't even know. My kid would be able to tell you on here. It's like a Pure Sport or something like that. The thing's like all carbon fiber, the most amazing car. I'd probably like one-off sort of thing. I don't recall seeing any more Bugattis that are all carbon fiber. But he had this mob of people. And like, think about that. Anywhere this guy goes, he's just mobbed by people to the point of like where he has to have like personal security with him almost at all times. And I don't know how I would have reacted, but I felt like he reacted really well with the crowd and all the different people. And he got out and he walked in and talked to my son. And again, I'll never forget that. I know Andy, and nice guy and everything. He's always been super polite and really very good to my son. So this guy, like, I mean, a lot of people don't see that, like, there's also a backlash to your success. There's a behind the scenes, if you will, with that, right? That I always say, like, you're always trying to outrun the monster. And whether that's, the IRS or whether it's, a person that maybe doesn't like you, a competitor in business, whatever it is, you always are trying to outrun that monster. And every day I put on my running shoes and I try to be able to outrun that monster to try to be able to get to my final place.
Yeah.
But the track never ends. It just continues to keep extending.
Dude, I figured out that the day I'll never figure it out is when I figured it all out. So I just know that daily I'm on expansion. I'm trying to be better than yesterday. I know all the cliche and the corny stuff is what builds my confidence and builds my certainty. Yeah. And I just need to make sure that I stay dialed in mentally and weaponize my mind, making sure I'm doing the simple stuff, because I do have a mission, man. I do have a vision. I truly know that I'm the generational curse breaker of my family. Yeah. I'm the one, as my lead always says. I know that. Financially, I know I am to show faith. I know I am to show fitness. Like, I want to dial in who I am on a daily basis.
Yeah.
For myself, yes. For my family, yes. But I know that I call it a lighthouse lifestyle. I'm a glow. And I say that in the most humble way possible. I know that I'm not,
Help people find their path. You're a lighthouse.
dude, I'm a fucking lighthouse. It's a lighthouse lifestyle. I say that all the time. Be the fucking glow. I don't know what that means to you or to him or to them, but I know for me, especially now what we're doing in this community, like I'm ready. You know, we just got done talking to my boy Matt that's coming here to shoot after you shoot. He does a lot of stuff in Troy. And I reached out to Winsfield School District, just cold called him like, hey man, I got a production company here. We got a whole building. I would love to do co-op with your high school and show them that you can get compensated by being a creative. I just feel that I am more than who I am right now, and I'm stepping into that at this given time. And it's exciting, and I'm embracing that shit.
When it comes to community, when it comes to like the byproduct of all that is money. Right. But when you take your focus off of just making profit and you're really, truly trying to be able to help other people, that's when your success will go straight up. And that's when everything totally changed for me. When I started focusing on people, when I started investing into people, when I started taking chances to be able to create a better life, like I'm looking around and I've got people that are on my payroll that they own houses, they own cars, they run families. Like this is totally different than it used to be. Like it was me. I keep a picture on my desk. It was me in the basement of my mom's house with a sump pump that wouldn't shut up. I literally had to time that thing of when I would get on the phone and like when I would mute the phone or whatever it was, because the sump pump would turn on. I like pile boxes over the thing and mattresses and all kinds of stuff to get the thing to shut up. But it shows you how far that you've come. And you look back at that picture and it just reminds me to stay humble. It reminds me to keep going, to keep grinding the same way that I grinded before. I stopped for a minute. It was 2018 and I stopped because my staff was like, listen, dude, come in here every day and like, I guess I have like a fear factor. Apparently, like I used to have this thing where people call it like epic firings. I would put so much into people that when they disappointed me, I would get like really mad. And I have this redness in my face that is undeniable. So like I look like I'm just like ready to pop.
Yeah.
You know, and I just get so red and so mad. And they would just be like, listen, just enjoy your life. Go out on your boat. Go travel the world, go to your country club, play golf, whatever. And for a minute there, I tried to do that, right? But it was not fulfilling to me. It was like you were saying, we're builders. And I couldn't have my hands in the clay anymore to be able to form the vision of something bigger. And I'm almost thankful that COVID came around, because during COVID, all went awry. So I had to tag back in and I had to take that company and I had to resuscitate it, because we lost 70% of our business overnight. Now we regained all that and then grew more, but it definitely changed the terrain ahead of us. And we had to figure it out. I had to overcome many different various hurdles. I had to dig into different, money that I wasn't planning on digging into. I had to be able to pull the company back together. And it was like the worst moment, but also like the best moment for me, because now I was able to tag back in. Meanwhile, before that, I'm trying to play like handyman. I'm like hanging some crown molding. I think I went through like 50 pieces of crown molding for like one strip across the thing. And my wife's like, listen, you're just going to have to come to a reality here, buddy, that you just weren't meant to swing a hammer.
Me either, bro.
So
I know that's right.
She took away all my tools and she was like, hand me a phone book instead, and was just like, just call somebody.
Yeah.
Like you're really not doing yourself a favor. But it gave me fulfillment, feeling like I had a worth. I had a value. And even though that was like, I went to painting, because that was like, I knew I couldn't mess that up too bad. Right. Yeah. I thought so. But yeah, I was wrong in that too. Right. So, but at the end of the day, like I said, I tagged back in, and then I started looking at what areas are broken in this whole equation, and where can I be able to adapt, and where can I change? And this is where we started developing other products, because we were known very much for just the high risk auto, like super high risk, people DUIs, like questionably, you should probably have had a bus pass, right?
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't even be behind the wheel of a vehicle in a lot of circumstances. But I brought a different dynamic to it. And I'm glad that I did, because that's why a lot of these people came back. I created resources around the crowd that we were working with to be able to help them to get sober, to stay sober, to give them resources for like housing, second credit, like job opportunities. We had like job boards. We had different things to be able to help them. And that's why these people came back, because they're like, yeah, I mean, like I could probably go somewhere and, just get a quote somewhere or whatever, but like you guys had a job board, like you helped me to be able to get in to the trucking position that I'm in now. You helped me to get into the job that I have now, or you helped me to find that apartment that I got into for housing and,
Nice.
That sort of thing. And I started looking even deeper. And I always mention this because, well, one, I think about Frankie and Louie's Pizza often. I'm hoping maybe one day they'll see my podcast and just like send me like a bunch of pizza or something. That'd be awesome. But I'm sitting out there in the Cove, and I got a bunch of buddies that were out there, and I'm looking around at RVs, and I'm looking at these people on their ATVs and their golf carts, and I'm looking at, my buddies that they're on their boats, and I'm like, this is kind of like a different type of community. And I started looking at, I was like, well, and then I wrecked my exotic car. So nobody wanted to touch me there. So I started looking for solutions to problem, and I started matching those solutions and problems. And I started putting those things together and started helping other people find those solutions to their problems. And we stumbled upon like this massive like crowd of people so like they're the guys that the power sports guys, right? The ATVs, UTVs. It's like a whole different community. Like it's like the Jeep community, right? Yeah. The people that are outdoors people. Then they were in their RVs, and then you had the exotic cars and the kit cars. I mean, for the love of God, the other day I insured the Mystery Machine. You remember from Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, hell yeah, man. This thing was like a 77 Ram, whatever the hell it was, or something like that. But I started getting into stuff like that was like off the beaten path. Like the big thing for a lot of these guys, they'll take these like 18-wheeler Mack trucks or whatever, and they'll slam them down to the ground, put like a wing on the back of it, soup up the engine. They're actually really cool. But where do you find something to insure like that? That was still like high risk. That was still like specialty, right? But it was a different end of it. And then I started making cold calls. I started contacting different various people and be like, hey, give me a chance to work with you. I won't, I won't let you down. And one of those people we're going to visit down in Florida, one of the biggest registered agencies in the United States. And, these guys, I'm gracious that they send a ton of business to us, so they trust us with their customers. And we've grown that relationship. And then other people started seeing that we were the person that was the go-to for that guy. And well, if they're the best, then why can't we use him? So then people started reaching out to me. And then I started trying to be able to join different Facebook groups, create Facebook groups, that kind of thing. And then my name started getting passed around. Before I knew it, it turned into a whole new business. And it was a business that I really, truly loved to be a part of.
That's dope.
And it was a building that just by accident, just by chance happened because I was paying attention. And I looked at the thing that people want, the people that they need, solutions to their problems. You have there's a lot of these people, what they do, they take these UTVs, right? And they want to make them street legal, right? So it makes sense in so many different ways, right? Because if you told me that a fully enclosed UTV with like doors and windows and, you know, just a lot around you wasn't safer than a bike. I mean,
Right.
I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. But there's a lot of these states, they have problems with trying to insure these scenarios. And I've been able to find where I have the companies, the know-how, we can be able to insure them in the state that they live in, and then make sure that the registration is maybe out in Montana, right? For instance. So they go to Montana to get the roadworthiness. They also, in Montana, there's no state inspections. There's no sales taxes, no personal property taxes. So a lot of people use Montana as a shell corporation state that has no assets. You don't pay, again, personal property. You don't pay sales tax, nothing like that. And then I learned so much through this of like this community of people. And then nowadays, I mean, who isn't trying to save money nowadays? Right. And if you have a legal way to be able to do that, why would you not take advantage of it?
Yeah.
I've taken advantage of that before. A lot of it started in the exotic car world, but you have these guys that, again, they'll plate these on-road UTVs and ATVs and bikes. And now the big thing also is e-bikes, which these suckers move, man. I mean, they're like, zing, you know, like they're freaking off. So you're seeing a lot of this, and this also, like, there's low maintenance on these things. Like,
I've been wanting to get one just to drive here. For real.
I'll give you a
live
ride
6
in mine.
minutes.
So we went
6 minutes
trick-or-treating.
down. Ain't it? Yeah.
We went trick-or-treating in the thing. I had the enclosure and everything else. I bought that thing, and I was like, man, this thing's already, like, great and everything else. Yeah, well, like 20 grand later.
Fuck.
It was, I mean, I was putting everything on this thing, man. I put lights and tires and freaking windshield wipers and just everything on that thing, right? And I love that. But it also, there's a lot of people that this is their prized possession on things, right? So it leads to other things. When you gain that trust with somebody, it leads to a bigger piece.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people will see that as, again, just like what they did with the SR22 business or the high risk auto business. They're like, I don't want it. People couldn't give me the business fast enough. They're like, yeah, dude, we don't have a market for this. I have no interest in this. Take it. It's yours. And then they'd be like, you want to give me back the home and you want to give me back, you know, the preferred auto or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what my focus is. I focus on working with my people.
Yeah.
People that are like me. These are people that need that help, but it leads to a bigger puzzle piece, right? You have where you're helping them for their ATV or UTV, but I can't tell you how many times that has turned into multiple houses, multiple cars, multiple businesses, different things. And it's because this, again, is like, it's the little crumb that a lot of people aren't paying attention to that leads to that piece of the pie that you're really looking for.
Dude, it seems like you, just from the base of us creating content with you, you're killing it on that tip. Before we have to wrap up here, because I know that it's getting time. I know we didn't start that clock, but we get into, because I want us to go shoot some ads and have time for that.
Yeah.
Mr. Insurance, like what we're about to shoot this content for, kind of break down like why you're doing it, what it is, and how it's going to benefit these insurance agents.
Okay, so insurance agents, I don't think that there's an insurance agent, and I'm not even just going to limit this to insurance agents.
Okay.
I don't think that there's an insurance agent out there that could tell you that they have had an amazing experience with a media company, or I should rephrase that insurance agents will say, I didn't have a great experience with this particular advertising company, media company, somebody that's going to generate leads for them, right? So leads is the lifeblood of the business. It's different than it used to be. You don't go knocking on people's doors. You don't call your centers of influence. You'll lose your invitation to the Thanksgiving dinner, you know, and it's just a totally different world. So now it's more of a fishing world, right? You got to throw the bait out there and let people come to you and you got to catch it. Well, there's all these companies these marketing and advertising companies that all they care about is your money.
Yeah.
And they're going to overpromise you, underdeliver, And I've seen this time and time again through my own experiences. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to change this. I am tired of being screwed over. I'm tired of spending all this money. And a lot of times they wanted this money in massive chunks up front. So there's an argument to be made there too. If somebody doesn't have the money to do it, that they can't even get going. So we provided what I'm going to call the business in a box. Okay. And there's there's 6 different levels to this, right? So you have the agent that wants to just come work with us at Select Insurance Group, right? The agent, we place you in there with Select Insurance Group. Then you also have the partner, right? This is a person that wants to own their book of business. They want to be able to run their agency, but they need maybe a little bit of help. We provide them resources. We provide them the administration support, provide the back end support. We have a person that calls your clients to greet them, to welcome them in, and then direct that customer to the customer service people that your customer is going to go to. And then we have a renewal specialist and a cancellation or retention specialist. The retention specialist, the renewal specialist is going to contact that person on behalf of you, the insurance agent, to renew that customer, to keep them on board. You don't have to do anything. We take care of all of it. It's all encompassed in this thing because agents will there's 2 things that happen here, right? They're not given enough knowledge when they come through the door. They're given companies. Okay. I could give you all the companies in the world. And if you don't know how to use it, like what's the purpose of it? I can set a car in front of you. If you don't know how to drive the thing, what's it going to do? It's going to get you nowhere.
Right.
Okay. So we created, again, this business in a box to where we're going to support them in all aspects of things. We are going to make sure that they have that, again, that administration support, they have lead support. I can guarantee you that there are insurance agents out there that are paying so much money for leads that are supposed to be exclusive and they're supposed to be live transfer and this, that, and the other and stuff. And they're junk. I had a guy I was talking to this morning. He was like, man, I'm paying like $75 for these live transfers. And it's like, when I get transferred to the person, it's like somebody literally like shot their dog or something like that. Like the people are angry. And it's because they are saturated at that point. It's been oversold, overplayed. And why wouldn't these lead companies do that? Because that's how they make their money.
Yeah.
They don't care about, like, you're going to find a nut here somewhere. You know what I mean? That the squirrel's going to find the nut, but they're going to make their money regardless on that because they figure they have a limited time span before the game's up.
Yeah.
And when that game's up, then you're going to leave. Mm-hmm. Okay. So a lot of these companies, they started tying people into contracts. They started, creating environments that were somewhat hostile where you had to like handcuff and just ride it out until the storm had passed. And I remember spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for a company that literally almost shut my company down because I gave them the exact roadmap of what I wanted, what I needed. And they told me everything that I wanted to hear, that everything that was going to be so perfect. And at the end of the day, they sent my car into the wall full speed, waiting to just crash. And it literally disabled my business. I had to get into lawsuits with this company to try to be able to get out of the contract. And we ended up winning that. But it was not a pleasant experience. So I don't do contracts with these guys. I'm going to call it like the personal trainer. Okay. Personal trainer is going to say, hey, you have to show up, Joey. You have to follow my eating plan or diet plan. And you have to follow the exercise programs when we're not working together, right? Or like when you're not here with me in the gym, you're going to have to do your, 40 minutes or 30 minutes of cardio, 20 minutes of cardio, whatever it is. For me, it's like 2 minutes of cardio, right? But you're going to have to do the things that are going to lead you to success. So what I make people do is I have you sign an intent, right? It's a commitment to greatness. It's a commitment to where you're going to follow the plan that I tell you to follow to get you to where you're at. Now, if you follow everything and you do everything that I tell you to do and you don't land at where you're at, guess what? You're not paying. I don't know any company.
How do you hold them accountable?
how do I hold them accountable is I talk to them on a daily basis. I set goals with them. I, say, hey, are you sharing this? Are you doing this? Are you working this lead? Are you doing this or whatever, to be able to make sure that they stay successful.
Yeah.
And I've got my growth manager that she takes care of a lot of that as well. And we train them, we show them how to do it. We give them the magic sauce. We show them everything. And then if that person, again, if they don't follow that action plan, well, then I say, well, you went off course. You went on the action plan. So that's the reason why if you didn't show up, you didn't follow the action plan, well, then, at that point, we've signed this commitment. But if I say I'm going to get you results and you follow everything you say and my word isn't like it's not coming through for you or something, well, then I'm going to work for free until it is.
Nice.
I don't know anybody that does that crap out there.
Right.
The other thing that we have is we started calling it a groupie program. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a page out of the biker world. I'm going to call it the Nomad program.
Okay.
Right. So it just sounds cooler, you know? And the Nomad is where maybe you don't necessarily want to work with Select Insurance Group, or you're just not interested in that, right? Maybe you're doing life insurance or health insurance, or you're doing investments or whatever. I can still be able to take you, I can find you a home with one of my trusted cabinet members, trusted agencies that I know that have had success. They're going to train you properly and that are the best of the best at what they do, get you involved with those people and put you in there. Now, you might say, well, what's in it for me? Okay, well, I'm about to tell you. So I, as the marketing company owner, I will go to the agency owner and say, hey, look, Joey, you're the agency owner, and I have John over here that I want to introduce to you. John is somebody that, we recruited in here and we found him and he's looking for a home, and I think he would be a perfect fit for your company. And then during the first 6 months, you give me a percentage of what he does. So you're making an ROI no matter what.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed. If the person doesn't produce, you just have lost time, which I guess does have financial value behind it. But in retrospective things, I don't know anybody that does that. So then we also have 3 levels of self-improvement coaching. Those are the executive level, the presidential level, and the VIP level. Okay. And in each of those different levels, you're going to get things like you're going to get access to yourself. And you're going to get access to somebody that can be able to put you out on social media, that can market you properly, that make sure that you get seen and heard.
Yeah.
And somebody that I already work with, that I trust, that I've already had good experiences with, and that then you're going to have a certain amount of time and commitment that you're going to have to devote to that. And we're going to blast y'all out online in a positive way. And we're going to make it so that you start seeing Mr. Insurance. I don't know how many people that come up to me and be like, you're that Mr. Insurance guy. I've even got my buddies now. They don't even call me Steve anymore. They call me Mr. Insurance.
Love it.
Look who it is. It's Mr. Insurance, and it's this character that has been developed, but it's a branding piece. You're known because of that.
Yeah.
So that was what I was looking for in this scenario. And I wanted to look hard as hell on here too, right? So, I wanted to make sure that, I had the full on hard ass look, right? So the tats, the old, what I'm saying? So I would have probably done a little bit more buff. I think that they kind of sold me a little short on that, right? But it definitely went a little crazy on the beard tint on here. But
I wish I could have a beard like that.
Right?
This is all I can get right here.
Right.
Dude, it sounds like the program's super dope. I'm happy to be helping you with it.
Yeah.
I know that's what we're about to go create. Like, even with you saying this right now, we have ads to create. We have a VSO to create. And I had all this thing planned out for ads. And the more that you're talking to me about it right now, I think we first need to do this VSL. Like, we need to go out there. We need to tell who you are, what you've done, and I need to break it down to where before we even do these ads.
I figured out the insurance world. I'm telling you, and I would say the sales world, and the business world. I figured out the magic sauce, if you will. And I want to be able to transpire that. I want to become the guiding light, right? The lighthouse, if you will, right? That's going to shine the path that shows where the potholes are. And I want you to be able to avoid those things because I've been through a lot of really bad stuff that people don't have to go through.
Yes.
And I want to take my experiences and I want to be able to transfer that over to people in a positive way so that they don't have to go through those same negative experiences that I went through. And these programs, it's more than just selling insurance. It's more than that. I'm sure everybody knows what a mastermind is or has been to that or a conference or whatever. Okay. So why do people go to this other than to see like maybe some speakers, right? Why do they go? Networking, right? So I don't know about you, but I can't sit still for 5 minutes, much less 5 hours, right? So me sitting in these conferences, listening to the same message over and over and over again about how, you should be this or you should be that or whatever. And I agree, like there's a lot of good content that's there, right? I just seen Eric Thomas and, like he said in the conference, he said, play your card, right? And he made you highlight that your word, play your card, right? And what he was talking about is like, live your life. You know what I mean? Like be who you are. And there was a really great message in that aspect. But outside of that, the biggest thing that I took from this conference, the biggest thing I've ever taken from the mastermind is the relationships that I have with people and the resources that is created out of that. And anybody that's ever been to these things knows that that's why you go to it. So I've taken a different approach to this whole thing, right? I'm going to do it the Steve way, okay? The Mr. Insurance way, okay? We're going to have mixers. We're bringing it back to middle school, right? We're going to have mixers, okay? And, for me, I'm going to be getting messed up on some Diet Coke, and other people, they can drink and do their thing. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to network with the different various people. But what's the missing element that a lot of these conferences don't do? They don't take those speakers, the keynote speakers, bring them into a separate area with you and let you just talk with them, interact with them, get to like hear their knowledge. When I sat down years ago at the old First Form headquarters with Andy and Chris, and they were kind enough to have me in there. They were super nice to me, but I was going there looking for advice for my supplement store, which these guys could have just told me to get lost,
right?
But they didn't. And when I listened to these guys and the knowledge that they were spitting across the table at me, it was a game changer for me. It made me realize that I was missing some of the message here, and that I took that knowledge and I turned it into something really, really positive. And then, that's what I want to do. I want to have it to where guys can be able to come to the mixers, okay? And we're going to do fancy mixers, okay? We ain't going to just do like, I'm going to get you in a gymnasium or something like that. Like we're going out on a yacht. Like we're going to be doing some cool stuff, okay? But these mixers will also host maybe a person or two that like a Tim Grover type of thing, right? Somebody that's been super influential that has really been a staple in that space, an example in that space. And you're going to maybe get to get that one-on-one time with that person that you normally wouldn't have been able to get. Right. And maybe get to like talk with them and figure out like what they did or what they didn't do or something. And then other people that are also surrounded with this. You'll get our cabinet members. So the claim to fame for me, people think is insurance. It's actually really not insurance at all. It's been real estate. So I developed a real estate portfolio from the foundation of insurance. Then I also bought and sold insurance agencies, which is very much like real estate. I had where we developed different aspects of the insurance. We developed different pieces that all kind of fed into the mothership. These are the things that I can connect people with. I can show them how to be able to use the resources that I have to their benefit, to their advantage. Because agents, they'll come in there and they'll start shorting themselves out on what they're going to spend on leads. I won't let them do that, right? We'll figure it out, right? But I won't let them do that. They're going to get good quality leads, so they're not going to be spending wastefully. Then they're also going to have that administration support, because another reason why people start going downhill is because customer service at some point takes over your sales.
Yeah.
You can't you can't help everybody. You can't be a one-man marching band in any business. If you can't learn to delegate, you weren't meant to run a business.
Yeah.
And
It's just a hustle.
it's something that people don't understand. Like there's there's no I in team. It's the same thing in business.
Yeah.
There is no I in business. Well, I guess there is an I in business, but there's no I in business. Yeah. There's no a me in business, right? Yeah. So there's none of that is, man, that went south like real quick.
Well, shit, you could say you could take the I out, put a Y in busyness.
Right.
When you don't.
There you go. See, you're just bringing that preaching.
Come on, man.
I mean,
preach that shit.
Bring it.
Dude, I know. No, this right here is fire. I think right now, these people that are watching that are interested in what you're talking about, they just gonna have to wait. I don't think you drop no more fire right now.
Right.
Because we need to go tell this goddamn story.
All right. Let's do it.
And let's make sure, because what you're saying, I even love it. I always tell people you need to fund your fun. My boy the other day was like, it would be fun. And I'm like, well, add the D. Fund the fun. We have to make sure that we make profit in order to do those passion projects. And it's dope that you've made your profit and you've invested into real estate to where you probably could sit back. You might not have as luxury of a lifestyle that you do, but I'm sure you could fund the lifestyle that you did with just even the real estate that you're doing. So I'm even interested in that.
Like that was the thing is that, you know, it was another resource. Like nobody that's ever been over the top successful, a 7, 8, 9-figure type of an earner, they don't ever just focus on one particular income source. And that's where when we had COVID, you know, there's a lot of really good things that came out of that.